brother kept calling Adult Protective Services on our father, so I showed them who really needed protection. Connor learned lying gets you what you want when we were 10. He broke Mom's vase and blamed me. Mom believed him and gave him my birthday money. In high school, he lied to Grandma that her doctor said she needed help. She let him live in her basement free for 2 years. When Aunt Beth got cancer, Connor told her dad needed expensive surgery. She gave him all her savings before she died. After Mom died, Connor wanted Dad's money. Dad said no to co-signing a boat loan in January. Connor got revenge by calling Adult Protective Services. He told them Dad couldn't handle money anymore. Investigators came to Dad's house and tested his memory. They asked about every penny in his bank accounts. Dad passed the tests, but felt humiliated. The neighbors saw the APS car and started gossiping about him. Connor struck again in March when Dad refused him money again. This time he told APS that Dad was a hoarder, living in filth. 3 investigators searched Dad's entire house. They found his workshop clean and organized. His car magazines were neatly stacked, but Connor had said the magic word hoarding. They made Dad throw away 20 years of magazines. They took pictures like his home was a crime scene. After that, Dad watched out the window constantly, scared of more investigators coming. Connor had figured out the system. Any family member could call APS and they had to investigate. He'd found the perfect way to torture Dad. Connor's 5th call in August was the worst. He told APS that Dad had bruises and was being abused. He sent them photos of bruises on Dad's arms. I knew those bruises came from Dad's blood thinner medicine. Connor knew it too, but APS had to investigate abuse claims immediately. They came and photographed Dad's body like evidence. They measured every bruise. They asked who visited him and when. The investigator said Dad might need to go to a care home while they investigated. After they left, Dad cried in his kitchen. Maybe Connor's right. Maybe I should just go to one of those homes. That's when something changed in me. Connor kept saying Dad needed protection from made-up dangers. I decided to show everyone who actually needed protection. I started watching Connor's life as closely as he watched Dad's. On Tuesday, I saw a foreclosure notice on Connor's house. His teenage son Brandon worked nights at a grocery store. That seemed strange for a kid who should be studying. I talked to Brandon at the store. He looked exhausted and said he'd been sleeping at friends' houses a lot. I met Connor's neighbor, Mrs. Smith, while walking by. She loved to chat. She told me she'd seen Brandon sleeping in their car one morning. She said Connor's wife Louise always wore long sleeves, even in summer heat. She heard yelling and things breaking at their house most nights. I watched Connor for 2 weeks and learned his schedule. Every Tuesday he visited Dad to go through his mail and ask about money. Then he went to the casino boats until midnight. On Wednesdays, Louise took Brandon to her sister's house. On Thursdays, Connor came back to pressure Dad about signing legal papers. The next Tuesday, I invited Dad's Marine friend George to visit at Connor's usual time. Connor showed up expecting to find Dad alone and vulnerable. Instead, he found 2 veterans drinking coffee and telling war stories. Connor's face tightened when he saw George. He tried to bring up Dad's supposed memory problems and confusion. George just laughed and said Dad beat him at chess every single week. Connor kept glancing at Dad's desk where the financial papers were kept. He couldn't go through Dad's things with George there. He had to leave with nothing. His whole routine ruined. That gave me time to set my real plan in motion. The next week, I told Dad his grandson Brandon needed help fixing his car at Mrs. Smith's house. I knew Connor had no idea his son desperately needed time with his grandfather. Mrs. Smith agreed to let them use her driveway, right where she could see everything from her garden. While Dad showed Brandon how to fix the engine, I watched the boy's exhaustion become obvious. His hands shook, holding the tools. He had dark circles under his eyes like he hadn't slept in days. Brandon started talking while they worked. He told Dad they might lose their house because his father owed money to everyone. Then Brandon rolled up his sleeve to wipe his forehead. Purple bruises covered his upper arm. I told Dad I wasn't giving him my work money anymore. He didn't like that. Mrs. Smith saw everything from her garden where she was watering roses. She used to be a teacher. Teachers have to report child abuse by law. She looked at Dad, and they both knew what would happen next. By Thursday morning, investigators were knocking on Connor's door, but this time, the reports were real. 6 months later, Connor lost custody without completing his programs. Brandon stays with Dad weekends, learning about cars. Louise divorced him with a restraining order. APS closed Dad's file noting false reports, but monitors Connor monthly. Dad no longer shakes at doorbells. Connor's chair at Sunday dinner sits empty.